like to welcome to the podium Dr. Tyrone Bledsoe.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, board. My pleasure to be here. I just got back from 5 countries. I'm on 4 different time zones right now. But I want to take 30 seconds of my time to introduce these guys. I brought in these nice suits so they won't fuss at me before we leave. Kendrick Edwards, if you would stand, he's the president of OTC SAAB chapter. Hendrick, you can stay up, Kendrick. Yeah, you can show that suit off. Kenyon Hendricks, who is the secretary at Central High School SAAB chapter. PJ Hill, who's the president of Parkview SAAB chapter. Jaden Lewis, who's the former VP of Central SAAB chapter and now the secretary of Missouri State SAAB chapter because he'll be starting college soon. Billy Brooks, who is the former president of Missouri State SAAB chapter. Dale Chateau, who's the president of Parkview Hillcrest, don't fuss at me, Hillcrest SAAB chapter. Alan Taylor III, who was formerly the president of Evangel SAAB chapter and now is a grad student working on his MBA. He's my grad student at SAAB headquarters. And my twin brother, Jerome Bledsoe, who often impersonates me when I'm out of town. And but the difference is I have a mustache. So give it up for the guys. I got a minute and a half. So I want to thank the board real quickly for your support for what we've already started with the high schools. This is a very important time for us for SAAB, and we want to thank you, as I did Missouri State's Board of Governors. We thank them for their support. Our headquarters is downtown on the square, and we pay nothing to be in that space. Thank the Cliff Smart and that board. And so I want to thank this board for your support thus far for what we're doing in the high schools. I also, 4 years ago, we had a conversation with Cliff Smart, CFO, Brian Fogel, the mayor, McClure. I met with your then president of your board and the superintendent at that time of this school district to discuss SAAB moving to this city. Now, they requested me to consider moving to this city. I asked that we do a feasibility study. We hired a consultant. We talked about it for 2 years, and we decided to move here. After considering many cities in this country for our headquarters, we were in Toledo, Ohio before we moved here, and we considered Springfield because of the much needed work to be done. So I just want you to know we were requested to be here, and we couldn't be happier to be here to work with your students, and you see some of the results tonight. I just want to mention that. So I get a lot of questions. Why did you move to Springfield? You know Springfield history? I come from Grenada, Mississippi. Anybody been to Mississippi? Okay. My brother and I met Dr. King when we were kids. And so we grew up watching protests and so forth. I got 14 seconds. But I want you to know, we know what we're doing. We wanted to come here. And so why not move to Springfield? John Lewis said in his closing words, do the good and necessary trouble. And we created that. I wrote an article recently, and I'll sit down. We invest in what we care about. We invest in what we care about. I can tell what everybody in this room cares about by where you spend your time and where you spend what? Your money. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Za Chateau. Please help me if I did not pronounce your first name correctly.
My name is Zaya.
Zaya.
Yes,
I'm
Zaya.
so sorry. Chateau.
Good evening. My name is Zaya Chateau. I am the president of the Hillcrest SAAB chapter. I just want to say that 3 minutes was not long enough for him. You would have talked your heads off. But, I just want to start off by saying thank you for your guys' time. Let me speak up here. Since SAAB has come to Hillcrest, I've seen a lot of things change. SAAB is a box of opportunities for us young men, not just me, but the guys that I work with at Hillcrest. As of this year, I got to see one of my friends. He grew up with his brother and his brother's wife. I would say that he didn't really have a direction in his life, but through SAAB and Doc and the people that he has got to network with, I got to hear him open up and say that SAAB has given him a better direction in life. And I would say that SAAB has given me a better direction in life. Before SAAB came into my life, I would say that I did not want to stay in Springfield, go to college somewhere else, have fun, you know. But I don't know about that now. I'm more reluctant to leave because of all the opportunities and the people that I've got to network with, such as banks and businesses and CEOs and those people that Doc has put in my life. And I think that personally that SAAB is not just a great opportunity for me, but others. And as a student of 2 SPS parents, I would say that I do not want to be a teacher, but come back and work for SPS through SAAB to give these young men an opportunity that I had so they can make a better path for their lives. Thank you.
Thank you. Kendrick Edwards.
Good evening. As Doc had said before, I'm Kendrick Edwards, the president of the OTC chapter. I'm also a Springfield Public Schools alumni. I graduated from Parkview High School in 2021. And I get asked this question a lot, why is SAAB important to you? A lot of things come in mind, but obviously a little short on time. But the main reason why SAAB is really important to me is just how it's allowed me to grow. It's really pushed me in ways of academics, just in personal ways as well as professional. I think of when I graduated high school, I knew I wanted to go to OTC. I wasn't sure about college, so I just kind of went to OTC just to check things out. And really, I wasn't sure about the whole thing. I know I just wanted to really push myself to get my associates and be done with it. But then I met this guy, Dr. Bledsoe, over here, and got introduced to SAAB and started up a chapter there. And as I got around a lot of the guys that have been in SAAB for years, I really started to see how these guys really prioritize getting their education, whether it's the high school. I learned a lot from the high school guys as well. And they really prioritize getting your education, and they really push themselves to do more. They're all, getting their bachelor's degree, their master's, their doctorate, and I'm around this all the time. I mean, I can't just sit around and, and not push myself. So being around it a lot, it really forced me to push myself. And I plan on getting my bachelor's now and maybe even my MBA later on. So another way is it's helped me in my professional aspect. I'm an intern for a bank here in Springfield. And so Dr. Bledsoe is always bringing us SAAB guys around to do things like this, get experience talking in front of people. He's brought me on a radio show before. So he's really just brought me around to have a lot of good experiences that will really benefit me in my professional career as well. And I know the things that have started to benefit me really will trickle down to the younger generation as the guys in high school and even eventually the guys in middle school, because I know if I would have been involved in SAAB at a younger age, it wouldn't even been a question what I was going to do. I know I would have pushed myself to further my education later on. So thank you guys for your time, and thank you a lot for your support. Have a good night.
Thank you. Kiki Rover. Yep, you bet.
Good evening. So I just wanted to come as a parent of a SPS student who is now in 8th grade and is a future SAAB member. I have followed SAAB program for a few years now, and I'm constantly in awe of all they have accomplished and they continue to do. I can remember the day it was publicly announced that SAAB headquarters will be moved in Springfield MO. My first thought and reaction was, wow, really? Here? And then my second thought and reaction was, I cannot wait to get my son involved. There's many reasons why I'm intrigued with SAAB, but here are just a few. One, they are practicing inclusion already in our community. Not only is this program inclusive to folks of every ethnicity and race, they also took it a step further by making this a part of their branding as well, which is why they also have the name Brother to Brother. This is so community members will know the program is not just for African American youth, but for youth of any ethnic background. Youth of different backgrounds come together routinely, lend space for learning and also cultural appreciation and cultural humility, which is also on target with the city values that were just adopted recently by our mayor. So they're already ahead of the game in the work that they're doing. Another reason why I am really intrigued with the work that they are doing is because of their success and their impact. Brother to Brother has a national on-time graduation success rate of African American males around 80%, and while the national overall average is about 45%. And then, of course, the last thing is that they are a national, well-known program right here in Springfield, Missouri. That in itself is a testimony to how dedicated they are and how much we need their services here in the work that we are doing. So I am here in full support of SAAB, aka Brother to Brother, and I recognize all the ways it benefits our students and communities. Brother to Brother is an opportunity for my son to grow and develop in a way that many of the other programs that SPS offers cannot offer for him. So thank you for bringing us out here, helping us maintain them, and I hope you will continue to do so. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Algerian Hart.
I didn't know I'd have to follow so many individuals that said everything that I was going to say, but so much more articulate than I, but I digress. Board, good-looking bald gentlemen that are protecting us, appreciate you as well. My name is, hey, you need a shout out, right? Exactly, thank you. Okay. So greetings, board members. Thank you so much for this opportunity. My name is Algerian Hart. I reside here in Springfield with my wife, 2 sons, and our Labradoodle, Toddy. Every once in a while, dogs need a shout out too. All kidding aside, I work here at Missouri State University. I am an administrator and also a member of the faculty. Thank you again for this platform to allow for me to address the Student African American Brotherhood, also known more affectionately as SAAB. First, I want to share a message from a young man who is honoring his commitment to Central High School and cannot be present. These words are, good evening, members of the SPS Board. My name is Rowan Hart, and I am a sophomore at Springfield Central High School and a current president of the Central SAAB chapter. Our membership is about 30 young men of diverse backgrounds. SAAB is a brotherhood that has provided an opportunity for me to grow my leadership skills by working together with other young diverse men throughout Springfield and the Springfield High School district. Not just that, but I believe we have an impact and we make an impact in this country. It has shown me that I have a voice within the community and encourages me to strive for excellence through my service. This organization has impacted me as a young diverse male, as it has shown me how each of us can achieve our full potential if we hold each other accountable to do good work in our own communities. What does SAAB mean to me? Well, it's hard for me to describe because it means so much. But if I had to use one word to sum it all up, it would be opportunity. SAAB is an opportunity for young men of different cultural backgrounds to come together and better understand each other. It is an opportunity for young men to get connected with people such as the man that started it all, Dr. Tyrone Bledsoe. It is an opportunity for young men to become the first in their family, the first to make it to college, the first to own a business, the first to be whatever it is they dream success and hard work looks like. There is an outstanding amount of opportunities for the young men who are a part of SAAB, and that it just takes one opportunity for any of us to leave a great impact on Springfield and our fellow peers. And that is Rowan Winston Hart. That's my 15-year-old son who wanted me to share those words with you. In this last few seconds, speaking as a parent, my wife and I have observed how SAAB has uplifted our sons and highlighted the value of empowering others. Our oldest son, Amias, was the first chapter president at the SAAB Central, working with Jaden. He was a cabinet member, graduated with honors as a member of the National Honor Society, a multi-sport varsity letter earner and team captain, who, by the way, was a SAAB scholarship recipient, and who loves the Lord. However, my son is just one example. Jaden Lewis, do I need to stop?
Time is up, but, so just wrap it up.
Let me wrap. I just wanted to say, he's just one example. Jaden Lewis, same credentials. Charles Sargent, same credentials. Jameer Morris, same credentials. Same Wall, same credentials. Combined average GPA of a 3.6, all SPS high school graduates attending Missouri State University.
Thank you. Thank you. Cheryl Clay.
Good evening, Board. This is a night to be thankful. Good evening. I'm also here to thank the SPS Board for their continuing strategic effort in promoting community partnerships. I didn't particularly agree with the prior superintendent's focus, but I will acknowledge his contributions and partnerships with the community. He chose to work with organizations, along with SPS, with the youth who are considered marginalized and from underrepresented populations in our Springfield community. I am happy to see the current board representatives continue these partnerships. We have the Boys and Girls Club. I expect you all are familiar with their mission. Some lesser-known partnerships are UGMA Language and Literacy. This organization focuses on reading and literacy for elementary and preschool students, most from, underrepresented populations. The Black History Summer Academy that promotes history and entrepreneurship with all age groups. Brother to Brother, or SAAB, that promotes mentorship and support systems for young men in high school and, I believe, middle school. The previous years of graduating have proven how valuable these mentorships and support systems provide a foundation for successful transition into adulthood. There's Go Caps, which allows students to shadow companies with hands-on projects fully immersed in professional fields. Companies such as city utilities and medical facilities, to name a few. These successful community partnerships are what makes SPS a cut above surrounding school districts. The SPS University is another example of connecting parents and students with additional resources outside of SPS. I try to be fair with my criticism and compliments, so tonight I choose to celebrate a new school year with a new board. May you guys continue to recognize the unique partnerships within our district. It takes a village for our kids to be successful, so let's continue to strengthen our village. Thank you.
Okay, so that concludes our public comments for this evening. So now we will move into our consent agenda items. So at this time, do I have a motion that the board approve our consent agenda items, which is 3.01, 4.01, and 5.01?
Madam President,
Yes.
I want to request that we remove an item from the contract agreements, change orders, and bids, which would be the Student African American Brotherhood as a specific item.
Okay. So we will move that from our consent agenda. That will become an item on its own that we will talk about next. So at this time, are we ready to move on with consent?
I have another request.
Okay.
Can we, I'd also like to request that we remove the EGL contract from consent agenda and make it its own item so that we can discuss it as an individual item.
Okay. So it has been requested that we move the Student African American Brotherhood contract that is under consent to its own item, and also that we move the contract with EGL from consent agenda to its own item. So now going back to, so do I have a motion to approve consent agenda items as listed?
As amended?
What?
As amended.
As amended.
So moved.
Thank you. And we have a second. So at this time, we will vote for our, there's a second. Miriam second. So at this time, we will vote on consent agenda items 3, 4, and 5 as amended. Okay, so that motion carries. So now we are back to that the board approve the contract with the Student African American Brotherhood organization for 1 year. And so that is on the table now for discussion.
Madam President?
Yes.
First and foremost, I really find this to be enlightening that we have SAAB here tonight, and I commend all of you gentlemen for what you've done at this point. I know much about SAAB myself. I've done a lot of research on that. I made an original request, and my request to you, Madam President, that we actually table this SAAB contract in order to have my original request met, and that was to actually engage in a conversation with Dr. Tyrone Powers, or Bledsoe, I'm sorry about that, and where we can exchange like we do with our executive staff when there's a presentation given, and it gives board members the opportunity to be able to ask questions, inquire, and satisfy, all the questions that the board may have. And so I want to make a motion, and that motion is that we table the SAAB contract agreement up until which time my original request to fulfill a presentation by Dr. Tyrone Bledsoe can be met, and we can at that time ask the questions and then vote on that contract. I make that motion.
I'll second that if that needs a second.
I have a comment.
I do too.
Me 3. Okay,
So the motion has been made, so we have to second it first, right? And then there's discussion.
So we have a motion. Will you please read your motion again? So, Tammy?
You got it.
Motion that we table this contract at this point until which time that Dr. Tyrone Powers can come and
Bledsoe.
provide- or Bledsoe. I did it again. I am so sorry.
And Kelly's
Can have a presentation, and we are allowed to have that back and forth question and answers, and then move forward on a vote of that contract.
And then I second, so then we would discuss before we vote, correct?
Can I make a motion to amend the motion? Because you can have up to 2 amendments.
Correct.
May I? Or, oh wait.
Let's, we have a motion, and Kelly has a second. And so let's have discussion on that motion first. Correct? John, help me out here. So let's have a discussion, and then based on the discussion, then we can go back and amend.
So I would like to say, while we do have some open forums where we have presentations from our ELT and others to vote on a regular basis, we have items in contracts that we approve on consent agenda that we do not have these types of presentations for. Lots of different companies and vendors. So I'm curious as why this one requires a separate presentation when all of the other contracts that we do not require one.
I'm not making it a requirement. I'm just saying that I would like to have a presentation and some back and forth with Dr. Bledsoe, that's all.
Well, why not the other contracts that we do?
I'm not going to get into that. My request is that I want to table this until we can have a presentation and back and forth with Dr. Bledsoe.
So I get your request. It just seems that it is not a valid request, given that we don't do this on a regular basis with other contracts. So I'm wondering, my question is, why this particular contract would need a presentation when others do not?
What did we say? We decided that.
I'm just staying with my request.
So I just have a comment. I mean, you noted that you did research and you understand this organization very well. That's what you started out with. So I'm going to jump to a conclusion here that you probably understand this organization better than some of the other contracts that we have approved. Perhaps you spent more time delving into this organization. It is disturbing to me as a community member that we have had students, which, by the way, I walked in, it was like I was walking into a courtroom. Thank you for being here this evening. But I also hate that you felt that you had to be here this evening to protect the organization that has meant so much to you, and that's not fair. We, as a school district, should be fostering gentlemen, just like these gentlemen on the front row. And if that means the Brotherhood to Brotherhood organization, then that's what we need to approve. And I feel like we're being blinded by the name of the organization, and perhaps that's why we're wanting to delve into it more, and that's concerning to me as a community member, given the history of our community. And I just, for the time that I've been on the board, I've never had students come and plead that we keep their organization. That's very concerning to me as to why they felt that they had to come here this evening. I also worry that if we table this contract, what's that going to mean when some of these gentlemen start school next week? Their organization that they rely on for leadership isn't going to be there, and they don't know if it's up in the air or not. And that's concerning. That what message are we sending to these students right here and some of their other counterparts? And what message are we sending to SAAB, who decided to relocate their headquarters in Springfield, Missouri, which that's going out on a ledge considering the history of our city? And it's very concerning to me that we would want to table this contract when we have never tabled a contract like this before.
Madam President,
So I think we have other people that want to speak.
what I want to address.
Okay, we'll come back. Okay. Scott and I think Mary Ann, and then we'll have a second go around.
Okay. Now, I did my research as well, and I was impressed with what I read about. But tonight, wow. I was so impressed by them. 5 things stood out to me, and I'm going to try and quote some of it, but, invest in what you care about. I heard that from Dr. Bledsoe. That's so important. The opportunities, for these men, that they may never get this chance again without this organization. And it gives them better direction. I wish we had more organizations like this. And they focus on academics, which is such a big deal. So important for our community, and they prioritize getting an education. What more would you want than that? It's an impressive story. Not going to call it a sob story, but it is such an impressive story. Thank you guys for coming in.
Okay, and then, Mary, you indicated to me you wanted to
Yes,
just comment.
I do wish we could have more organizations like this, which is why and this is new. We have a lot of organizations, but this is a new kind of organization that is very much needed.
Oh, yeah.
But I also feel that names do matter, and we want to be inclusive. And I don't know, I wasn't born and raised here, so I don't know the full history of Springfield. But I approach things from a non-emotional aspect, very procedurally. So, and I like to get things done. And so I'm going to give you a sneak preview as to my upcoming motion to amend the motion, which is I've had the opportunity to ask questions and learn about this organization because it is so new, and it's just a very unique perspective on mentoring students in a way that they haven't been mentored before. We're familiar with all the other ones. But I do feel that in order to be able to continue down this road, we need transparency in our operations, and so that we can continue to invest, not just in this, and perhaps more programs, not just boys, girls, and down the road. So I don't want to delay this. So my motion to amend it will be we have everybody that matters. Why can't we have, if it's okay, have a quick dialogue and have those questions answered, and so we can table it to like 5 minutes later. Did that make sense?
Yeah, but I would go back to my comment in Danielle's, that seems to be counterproductive when we don't do that on a regular basis with all of the other contracts that we do.
Oh, I ask a lot of questions about a lot of the contracts.
I understand that, but we don't require that they do a presentation for us.
It's an opportunity to ask questions that I've already asked, and they've been provided to me. However, when you look at the website, it tells a different story. So it would be nice for the stakeholders to understand what we support and invest in, so that there is mutual understanding, because this is just a first step. There's many more steps to come. And in order to get the community who pays for our schools and who pay taxes, and they just had a quarter of a cent raise, that they understand our operations and how we approach our operations and how we make decisions to be innovative and bring new programs. So
I think though,
and you know, I'll tell you, if there's another new amazing thing like computers were, maybe there's a new generation, I'll be asking those questions then too.
well, questions are great, but requiring that organization do a presentation is different. However, I do understand the community's desire to know more, and I happen to know that Dr. Bledsoe is very open to community members coming in, checking out his office, and seeing what the organization does and asking those questions directly. So if the community is interested in what he wants, what they're doing, I think they're more than welcome to seek those answers from the organization.
Okay, at this time, I think Kelly,
Yeah.
and then we can go back around. Steve.
So I'll share some thoughts on this. I do support giving Dr. Bledsoe, I would say, an opportunity to share more about his group. To answer a comment that Sharita had made earlier, I have made requests for other contractors such as Aramark to give presentations. I'm also a new member of this board, as is Mr. McCoskey. So to say that it's not typical of this to happen in the Board of Education of Springfield Public Schools doesn't, I mean, this is a new version of this board. So I think it's a little cynical to try and find a reason why just this group is being maybe singled out. It just so happens that this is early on in a new board. I have made those requests before, and it's not about this particular group. And I also see this as an opportunity for this group to provide more information, because as I read the contract that was provided, as a new board member, I do have questions. It's strange to me because I thought that this was a group that students were participating in that would be similar to FCA, FBLA, FFA, just a number of different groups. Now I'm just confused as a new board member. Is it the same as those? Because to me it reads more as a contract. There's the sum of money, $64,500, that's going to this group. When I first read, I thought they would be paying dues of $500 per chapter, and then the rest of those funds would be going to those students or to the individual chapters to use to, like for example, these gentlemen are wearing all the same ties, like stuff like that, where they had discretion to use those funds to impact the students versus going to the organization directly. So I'm confused on what exactly this is. Is it a consultation contract, or is it a group that we're trying to fund? And then
That seems that those
additionally, let me
questions are
finish,
answered
please.
in-house.
And then additionally, my concern with that I would like to.
It's the contract.
Hold on just a moment. Let's
Mr. Ryan
all.
has the floor.
I think it's important on topics like this where people might get a little bit emotional, that we try to play it by the book and take our time to say our thoughts and probably direct everything to the president. So, questions that I would like to hear from and give the opportunity to Dr. Bledsoe to just share more about his group. I do have more to learn from this group, and I would say when I read through the website and I read the mission and the vision of this group, and I hear what was spoken about tonight, there are great things happening. Personally, I would even be willing to make a donation personally to this group. When we're talking about public funds through Springfield Public Schools, my concern with this group in particular does have a lot to do with the name and with the contract reading a lot of being exclusive. I think we are picking certain groups, whereas I think there are a lot of people, a lot of students in this district who maybe don't identify as male and don't identify as of color that could benefit from this exact same thing. And I think as a public institution here, we can support what this group is doing. I'm concerned of us going down the path of saying, we're picking this group, and we're picking this group, and we're picking this group. And then we have a whole mess of these other groups saying, what about our group, what about our group, what about our group? I just want to make sure that we're offering these opportunities for everyone, because there's a lot of people in this district that can benefit from this sort of mentorship and focus on academics and leadership from the business community. All those other things that the mission and vision of this group, as I understand it, provides. So I would support the opportunity, because right now I just don't have enough information with those concerns to make a vote right now. And should it come to that, I would abstain because I don't have the information. And I would like to learn more about it. Like I said, I would be willing to donate to this group, and I would like to hear from Dr. Bledsoe if he's willing. And that's the thing, it's not a requirement, it's a request. If he's willing to share more about this group, and I don't necessarily want to put him on the spot. Again, it's a request. If he doesn't want to do it tonight, I understand. If he does, great, but we don't want to put him on the spot. We want him to be able to be prepared and present to us.
Madam President?
Yes, I think Steve is next, and then we'll come to you. Steve.
Yeah, and I want to say...
This is our last go-around, so...
Yes, thank you very much.
And we're going to vote.
First off, I don't appreciate getting excoriated by you. This is not the way to handle this on the board. I made a motion. And just as much as you have the opportunity, each board member, to make a motion, it should be respected. And so I continue on with my motion at this point. I think I want more dialogue. That is my request. And as a member of this board, I have expectations. And I want those expectations to be met. If you don't like it and you do not want it, then vote against it. That's what I have to say.
Okay.
Madam President,
Yes.
so I would like to say that when you make a motion, it is respected in that we have a discussion, and this is part of the discussion, and part of the discussion is my disagreement. In addition, I feel like some of the concerns that are that some board members have that have been stated here are better addressed by our internal staff members and administration, answering questions about what is the contract for, since if it's a contract, and what is it for? I think those questions could be answered by the people in our district who have written those. I don't know that it's required that the organization defend any kind of contract that they have. And it sounds like to me, it comes off as they're trying to defend what they're doing. And since the district has already written the grant, the contract, I feel like it would be best addressed by internal people in the district who are a part of that grant, of that contract process.
Very good, thank you. Okay, let's go around, and then we'll come back.
I do want to remark.
Okay.
Please. It was said that I should have maybe contacted this organization maybe prior to this.
I don't know who made that comment.
I said about
I believe
the
it was
community.
Sharita.
I said the community. No, I didn't say board members.
But I have reached out to them, and I have not heard back from them. And I certainly would have maybe had the opportunity to forego this request if I had the opportunity to talk with the SAAB organization. But I was never offered that opportunity.
Okay. Scott, did I see your hand? Okay. Okay, Danielle, did you?
Points are well taken. Thank you, Kelly, for reminding to direct to Madam President. Certainly, I respect the process of motions and seconds and voting, but there should be a conversation and a discussion, especially when it comes to contracts that are asked to be tabled. I won't support the tabling of this contract, and I hope that we keep the SAAB organization in our schools, because they're clearly doing wonderful things for our students.
So, we have a,
You did skip over me
okay.
on the second go-around.
Okay, second go-around. Sorry, I apologize.
First, I withdraw my motion to amend the motion. Second, I want to remind, especially the two new board members who may not know this, that this is not at all unique, this request. I'm still relatively new, but in my first year, and up until today, I have made repeated requests to separate items off the agenda. and it has never been granted because we didn't have a good understanding of how consent agenda worked. And I have voted no on several consent agendas because I was in disagreement. Most recently, I think it was esports and brain pop. Had the board allowed separating those off, I would have. And in some instances, I would have wanted to hear and delve into the contract. I think that we have two, actually, this and then EGL, was because we had the board retreat, and that allowed us to streamline our operations where we all understand how it works. So I just wanted to put that out there, that I don't think that this is unique or that we're singling out, and by we, I mean us, the board, as an entity, singling out any one organization or EGL being one particular contract. They're all contracts. SAAB and EGL are both contracts, amongst many contracts.
And I guess one more chance here.
Yes,
So
you
I guess
do.
I'll just reiterate that I really think that the work that's being done, from what I can tell, is very admirable. I just want to make sure that we're not getting in the business of dividing people into groups, and we are inclusive of all of our students.
Thank you.
Okay, so, and I will conclude my remarks that one thing that is unique about this, that I is the veteran on the board. What is unique about this is that Dr. Bledsoe is not an employee of Springfield Public Schools. So it would be unique for us to request a presentation of him because we are used to requesting presentations by our employees. He is not employed. It is his decision whether he would want to do a presentation. And he did talk to us this evening and came to us on his own time and public comments. School starts on Tuesday, and I would have great difficulty in not moving forward with this contract for these fine young men and others to start school with their organization intact. And my experience with Springfield Public Schools, and also having taught a class at MSU recently in the last couple of years, had students in my class that were involved in this organization. They were fine young men. And so I, as a member of the community, and also as an adjunct instructor at MSU, I would not consider not moving forward with this contract. So that's where I stand on this. So at this time, there is a motion on the table a motion to table this contract. Do we have a presentation from Dr. Bledsoe? Am I reading that correctly? We have a motion, we have a second, so at this time we would need to take a vote. It is not going to be on our laptops, so we'll need to go around the table, and we'll start with Steve.
I abstain.
Can you clarify the motion? We have.
Motion is to.
So you made the
Can you
motion.
say it again? Can you make the?
He made a motion to table this contract until a future date in which we would have a presentation from Dr. Bledsoe. And that's
So
the motion.
is Dr.
to
Bledsoe,
table.
not just information.
My original request was that Dr. Bledsoe provide an opportunity, or we provide him an opportunity to come and present to the board.
Provide an opportunity.
Yes.
Not necessarily that you request him to come, to provide him the opportunity.
And allow us to have dialogue with Dr. Bledsoe, and then we would have a vote following that.
Okay, can you read that again now, the new wording?
You requested that we table and pull the contract off the agenda,
Yes.
bottom line. So that's what you're voting on, yes or no? Or if you're going to abstain?
Yeah,
Your motion.
Well, I want to take it off of.
You want to withdraw
I
your
want to
motion?
table it. I want to take it off. I want to table it for a vote if we can get a presentation from Dr. Bledsoe and then bring it up for a vote.
So that's not how it works. You can't do either or. So you're making a motion to table it with the request of a presentation.
Yes.
Okay, so that's what you're voting on, yes or no, to table this contract and pull it off the agenda.
Yes.
So are you voting yes or no?
I'm voting yes for that,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
Scott?
No.
Sharita? No. Miriam?
Yes.
Denise?
No.
Danielle?
No.
Kelly?
Yes.
Okay.
So
So we have,
so the motion fails.
we go back to the original recommendation, and the action is there.
So the original recommendation would be that the board approve the contract with Student African American Brotherhood, brother-to-brother organization for 1 year.
And you just go in order.
So let me ask, any questions about
We need a second. We need a
The-
motion and a second.
oh yeah, so we have a motion that the board approve the contract with the Student African American Brotherhood organization for 1 year.
So
As
moved.
it- Yeah, the contract. So we have a motion.
Second.
We have a second.
Then ready to vote.
Okay, now, we're ready to vote.
And that's what I meant by abstain.
You're abstaining from that.
That's correct.
Okay.
Aye.
Aye.
This is to approve the SAAB contract.
I know, I'm thinking.
Oh, okay.
This
It's just the
is
contract
happening
for the
fast.
year.
Hold on, I'm thinking.
Okay, it's okay.
So-
I'm trying to help you. You want me to go on around and come
Yes.
back? My vote is yes, that we approve the contract.
Aye.
Abstain.
Abstain.
Okay, so we have 4 yeses, so motion carries, and 3 abstentions. So, motion carries. Okay. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to move to our next item
Held for separate vote.
that was held for a separate vote. This is the board approved the contract with the EGL Association. So this is a separate contract, or this was pulled off. So the board approved the contract with EGL Association. Do we have a motion that the board approve the contract with EGL Association?
So moved.
So we have a motion for that. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Mary Ann, second. So now we can have discussion.
What did I miss? I'm sorry, I was,
EGL.
EGL.
The one you requested to be moved.
he brought me this in the middle of that, but what was the motion in the second?
The motion is to approve it, the second.
Okay, so now we discuss.
So now we're discussing. So do you want to start?
Sure, I guess since I
Since you pulled?
requested to remove
Yes.
it. My request to remove it and vote on it as an individual item, to me, I thought it was important as a board, that we give it the respect that it's due and how important the strategic plan is. It's one of the most important things that we do as board members, maybe the most important. And I think it's important that we own that process, starting in the beginning and establishing it, finalizing with approving it. And the administration, the community, everyone gets involved in the middle. This is our process. And I just think it's important that we give the opportunity to speak about this, since this should be our group that we hire, EGL. I was not given an opportunity to see any other groups that are out there as a board member. I was just proposed this group. And the interaction I've had with them has been mostly positive, so it's not a concern there. I just don't know what else is out there, and I just want to make sure that we're giving this the appropriate attention of making sure that this is our process, the board's. This strategic plan is the board's strategic plan. Now, we engage in a lot of input from staff, administration, community members, et cetera. But in the end, this is our responsibility, and I want to make sure as an individual item that we own it and have an individual vote on it, is my full reason for pulling this off.
Okay. Do you have any other discussion? Okay, so at this time, are we ready to vote? Okay, so we'll go around.
And can you repeat the vote?
Recommendation.
Repeat the, okay. The motion is that the board approve the contract with EGL Association.
And this is vote verbal.
Yes.
Yes, the vote is verbal. So we'll start. Steve?
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Okay, at this time, it is 6:45.